It has been one of the best seasons of Racecraft TV Rallycross to date. As an RX2, we have a driver that is still undefeated after the opening 4 rounds of the campaign. But tonight, as we continue into round number 5, it's anybody's guess at who is going to walk away on top of the podium. As we go to one of the original tracks in iRacing Rallycross, it's the Phoenix Raceway. We welcome you to Racecraft TV Rallycross, only found right here on Racecraft TV. I bet all of you are able to join us tonight for what is expected to be a very exciting night of action. I'm your host, Joshua Lee, and alongside me in the commentary booth is Ian Fisher with all track and car cameras tonight, created by Istvan Balo at trackcams22.com. So Ian, as we continue with this RX2 season, we put behind us Knock Hill, Sonoma, Daytona, and now Atlanta. With Brands Hatch and Charlotte on the horizon, we come here to Phoenix, which is one of the original tracks and one of the day one tracks of iRacing Rallycross, like Daytona was. But this track, so unique, always seems to bring a challenge, and it seems like, especially when it comes to the World Championship, guys, you either love this track or you hate this track.
Love it or hate it is definitely the way to put Phoenix. I personally love the track, but a lot of drivers this week in practice say that they hate this track. And with a new update we've had to iRacing recently with the dirt, a lot of the drivers are having way different reactions over the jump than they used to, Josh. So it's going to be really interesting to see, especially over that jump that we're looking at in the background right now, what these drivers are going to do to navigate this tricky course.
And of course, only time will tell exactly what's going to happen tonight, but we can take a look at the story of the championship so far here in RX2. And Connor Berry is so dominant, winner of every single feature race this season. I believe every single heat and every single pole position as well. He is borderline unbeatable in RX2 in this campaign. He still sits at the top now, 20 points above Carson McKenna. Trevor Teal sits third, Andrew Howell, Sean Winkler the top 5, Zachary Dropkin, Cody Crosgrove, Nick Chacon, and Michael Lawrence tied for that 8th spot, with Greg Johnson sitting there rounding out the top 10 of the points. So with a handful of points still left on the board, even though Connor Berry has a very real opportunity to lock up this championship before we even get to Charlotte. He has an opportunity to lock it up when we go to Brands Hatch in 2 weeks' time.
Not only does he have an opportunity to lock it up when we go to Brands Hatch, but tonight Trevor Teal has a very good opportunity to gain some much-needed points on Carson McKenna for that number 2 spot. I'm hearing that Carson McKenna is not going to be able to race tonight due to some obligations. So this is going to be an opportunity for Trevor Teal to make some space on Andrew Howell and Sean Winkler, who are trailing him rather tightly right now.
And as we continue with tonight's pre-show, we'll go over the race analysis for RX2. A little bit different than RX1, not necessarily in the structure of the heats LCQ in the main. Still going to have 5-lap heats in both, with the top 4 advancing, 5-lap LCQ with the top 2 advancing, then a 10-lap main event. But 8x incident limit and a fixed setup here, a 6x incident limit and an open setup for RX1. So a little bit easier for these drivers to navigate what's going on. They have that 8x incident limit, so they can beat and bang a little bit more than the pro drivers are expected to, and they also don't have to worry about building that setup and building that car up. They have a fixed setup when they walk into the track tonight. We'll take a look quickly at the points format as well. Of course, heats will give points along with the feature. No points given for qualifying or the LCQ, but of course a good qualifying effort is undoubtedly going to help all of these drivers. And Ian, this track is very unique, like we mentioned, a little bit on the shorter side at only about 3/4 of a mile, but it is still one of the tracks that just sort of everybody talks about with iRacing Rallycross, and on the Legacy Phoenix, mind you, so it does have a little bit of bumps in there as well.
Yeah, a little bit of bumps, and it's a very tight transition coming off the oval part of the track into the road course part. It's a really an area to watch for, area like the bowling alley at Sonoma, or another street we see, I think, in Atlanta there, where it's a tight right-hand turn. You're going to see a lot of trouble with drivers there, especially on the start. That's going to be an area to watch, Josh.
Well, it's time to take a look at the starting grid for the first heat of the night. Connor Berry on track for another perfect night as he qualifies on the pole. Damian Jensen in his Ford Fiesta to his outside, with Zach Knowles, Ko Pellegrini, with Sean Winkler and Nick Chacon rounding out the 6 drivers who are ready to take the green flag here from the virtual Phoenix Raceway. And 5 cars currently lined up on the grid. We'll wait for all 6 as we wait on Connor Berry to make his way onto the grid. But you can see these drivers lined up, ready to go. Damian Jensen in a really good spot on this start, as he'll start in P number 2 here for heat race number 1. There's Connor Berry onto the grid. He goes, and we are ready to take the green flag. First heat of the night here from the virtual Phoenix Raceway. Ready to see what'll happen tonight. We are underway. Look at the start from row number 2. That's Keo Pellegrini, who is going to bump his way all the way into the lead. A fantastic start from the Nitro Circus Subaru. He'll bang with Damian Jensen a little bit. He's also going to bang with Connor Berry, who sits behind him. That's Zach Knowles as well getting into the mix. 3 drivers joker. That's Jensen, Pellegrini, and Berry. Winkler, Chacon, and Knowles all staying out on the racetrack for the time being. But joker lap completed and done for Jensen, Pellegrini, and Berry. They assume the top 3.
Top 3 drivers we see right now coming back to the start finish line. We haven't talked much about our joker lap today yet, Josh. It's a delta of a 4-second shortcut for our drivers. So you see a lot of our drivers taking it first lap, trying to get out clean air as fast as they can, as we see a battle here through the S's part of the track. And if it's me, yeah, I try to take that joker lap as early as I possibly can. And if I don't take it the first lap, I try to hold on to it for as long as I can to try to shortcut some of those positions coming back to the start finish line, Josh.
Well, Zach Knowles sits in 4th. He has not taken to the joker yet. Nobody behind him either elected to take the joker as well. So still sitting up at the front is your race leader of Damian Jensen. But look at Connor Berry already in full pursuit of the race lead. It's a 2-car battle at the front of the field as Berry sits waiting within about 1 second. But what is interesting in this battle here, Ian, is the fact that Connor Berry is going for a perfect season. He has won every pole position, won every heat race he has been a part of, and has won every feature race as well. He has a perfect game, he has a perfect season on the line here. If he can't get by Damian Jensen, it's not just going to be an end to a perfect night, it'll be an end to a perfect season.
Yeah, and, you know, he's still going to probably have a pretty huge point lead. I mean, it's pretty much a no-brainer at this point. He's going to have a huge point lead, but he is really, really focused on, at this point, just trying to complete this season as perfectly as he possibly can. And we see him putting a lot of pressure on Damian Jensen here, but Damian's not giving him any breaks or anything like that. He's not making any mistakes. He's not making it easy on Connor. I think Connor's going to have to pass him here, Josh.
Pellegrini joker last time by. Knowles, Chacon still yet to come into the joker. How about a sliding move from Pellegrini to try and get by Sean Winkler? He will get to the inside of the 17. They'll door bang again as they go out the exit of the dirt section. Winkler's able to hold on, albeit not by much. Pellegrini going to continue to try and fight for that 3rd spot, but Damian Jensen at the front in the lone Ford Fiesta in this field, looking for heat race win number 1 for that number 16 machine. Up and over the jump. What is Connor Berry going to try and do? Is he going to make a big lunge? Zach Knowles goes into 3rd out of the joker lane. What's Berry going to do to try and keep the perfect season afloat? He is going to get on the back bumper, but it's not going to be enough. And for the first time this season, Connor Berry is bested, and Damian Jensen is going to walk away with heat race number 1 victory.
Give Damian Jensen a lot of credit there. That was a lot of pressure that Connor Berry put into him in that final dirt section. And Connor put the bumper to him a little bit as well. But Damian held strong, came away with the Heat 1 win.
So Damian Jensen walking away with the heat race number 1 victory. Connor Berry, Zach Knowles, and Sean Winkler will round out the field that will be heading into the feature. Keo Pellegrini and Nick Chacon are going to have to try and fight out of the LCQ. Time for the grid for heat race number 2. It's Alexander Abedi who will start on the pole. Trevor Teodo is outside with Zachary Drapkin, Greg Johnson, Scott Kerr, and Nathan Ramsey. Gonna round out the field that is starting in the 2nd heat race of the night as we continue to build anticipation for our RX2 feature race tonight. But Abedi with some great speed that we saw in Atlanta, gonna try and go for another great night here. Trevor Teal, he has been one of the most improved drivers coming from the first season of Racecraft TV Rallycross to this season 2. We'll see if he's able to grab a heat race win tonight from the virtual Phoenix. Green light is on. We are underway here in the 2nd heat race of the evening for RX2, and everybody gonna try and fight for real estate here in turn number 1. and able to keep the lead is Abedi, but here comes Zachary Drapkin. Drapkin is going to get turned off the front nose of Trevor Teal. Abedi is going to work his way into the Joker lane, and Trevor Teal is going to assume second place. He's now going to get cattywampus coming over the jump. He'll fall down, and he's going to collide with Drapkin again. And Teal and Drapkin come together not once, but twice on the opening lap, and Alexander Abedi gets away with the early race lead.
That was interesting, Josh. We talked earlier that these drivers were having trouble with that jump with the new dirt update we had here recently with iRacing. I don't know if that was part of what happened there, or if Teal was trying to give some room to let. I'm not exactly sure. That's an interesting one.
You can see Teal then getting loose coming over the jump, gets off the jump onto the tarmac, loses control again, and it just looks like unfortunate for Zachary Drapkin to be back in the line of fire for Trevor Teal. But with that now puts Teal down in 6th, puts Drapkin down in 5th, and Alexander Abedi to the race lead to the tune of about 4 seconds now. And he is in front of Gregory Johnson, who's in front of Nathan Ramsey, and then about a second back from them is Scott Kerr. So everybody pretty spread out. Zachary Drapkin, it looks like he is very slow, and he's going to either tow it back to the pit lane or get behind Trevor Teal. It looks like that will be a tow back to the pit lane here for Zachary Drapkin, but Scott Kerr comes into the Joker, going from 4th into 3rd. We'll see if he can stay in front of Nathan Ramsey here as he works his way through this sort of half asphalt, half dirt section there. It doesn't really have the full grip of asphalt in, but it's not really exactly full dirt either. Can you go a little bit more in depth about what really that is coming off the Joker lane?
No, that's a really interesting Joker lane, and it's really fun for the drivers because it starts off with that asphalt section coming off the main section there, and you can hit that really, really hard, really, really fast, but you have to slow down very, very quickly for the transition back onto the dirt, and it's a tight little kink bidding onto the dirt section there, and like you said, you can kind of see it there as we watch this overhead shot, the kind of mix between that. It's not necessarily a dirt, it's almost like a sandy, more of a sandy texture, if that makes any kind of sense, which is hard to articulate to our viewers at home, but it's a little bit less slidey than fresh dirt, but it's very similar to a very worn-in dirt if you ever drove that on the iRacing surface.
Definitely provides a little bit more grip, but definitely still not as much as the asphalt would provide for these all-wheel drive rallycross machines. But Alexander Abedi out in front, and he is in prime position to walk away with this heat race win for heat race number 2. It was Damian Jensen who won heat race number 1. Grabbing the heat race number 2 win, it will be Alexander Abedi in the number 99. Greg Johnson gonna come home in 2nd. Scott Kerr looking to come home in 3rd. And looking to be the final driver into the feature is Nathan Ramsey, who will work his way across the line for 4th. Trevor Teal, Zachary Drapkin going to come home 5th and 6th on the results. And that will push both of them into tonight's LCQ. As we get ready to take it to the grid, Abedi, Johnson, Kerr, Ramsey off and away into the feature race. Time for tonight's LCQ as Keo Pellegrini will start on the pole with Trevor Teal to his outside. Nick Chacon and Zachary Drapkin going to round out the entire field of drivers that are ready to go racing for tonight's LCQ. Already getting set up and ready to go for the start of the LCQ. We'll take the top 2 out of this consolation race, and we are underway with that green light. 4 wide for the moment as they go into the corner. Keo Pellegrini gonna slap into Zachary Drapkin. Drapkin's up and into the wall. He'll make contact with Teal again, and Drapkin is around and into the inside wall. He'll go to 4th. Teal to 2nd. Chacon to 3rd as Keo Pellegrini, another early joker for the Nitro Circus Subaru. Trevor Teal follows along with Nick Chacon. Zachary Drapkin, the only driver to stay out on the main line, as all through the Joker come the top 3.
Yeah, top 3 make it through the Joker, and I was about to say before that carnage off the turn 1 there, Josh, is I've noticed, and I don't know if you've noticed this as well, but the second line is actually getting a really, really good jump on these starts. I'm not exactly sure what's happening there, if there's a little bit more grip or it's something with the temperature of the track, but I've noticed that all night long so far, is that second line is getting a really good jump on the starts.
I think where it was most noticeable was heat race number 1, where the current leader of this LCQ, Keo Pellegrini, went from row 2 to the lead going into turn number 1 off of the initial start of heat race number 1. So a great move for Keo Pellegrini on that start, and another great start from him to keep that lead as they went through turn number 1. He's got Nitro Circus colors on that Subaru. He's got the Hoonigan logos on, and he is representing all of his sponsors out in front with in his Racecraft TV Rallycross debut as well. The nerves gotta be pumping for him. He's not exactly up with the World Championship drivers in RX1, but you're still, competing against Trevor Teal, Zachary Drapkin, Connor Berry when he goes racing with him in the feature. Zach Knowles still fighting with some great names, both from short course and Rallycross alike.
Yeah, Keo Pellegrini, too, is a very experienced rallycross driver on the iRacing service. He races a few other leagues. I've seen him racing the NASA League here this season as well, and he's very, very quick. He is a driver that, like a lot of us sim racers, struggles with consistency from time to time. But when he's on, Josh, like you see right now, he's on, and he's leading this LCQ right now with lap 4 coming to the white flag.
Going to be a white flag this time by for tonight's LCQ. No close battles on the racetrack. Everybody pretty spread out, as you can take a look at those interviews over on our timing tower. So not looking like any passes will be made through this 4-car field, but right now Trevor Teal will be safe by about 1.5 seconds at the moment over Zachary Drapkin, who trying to fight him for the final transfer spot into the feature tonight. The white flag is out for the LCQ, and Keo Pellegrini, who sits in the race lead, they're going to put a capitalization on tonight's consolation race. He had an amazing run in heat number 1, just after a few mistakes, ended up outside of the top 4 to finish in 5th. And he is looking to rectify that and is looking to walk away with a spot in the feature, and that is exactly what is going to happen to the Nitro Circus Subaru. As across the line for Keo Pellegrini, he's going to grab the win here in the LCQ. Trevor Teal is going to hold on in his Subaru as well to grab the 2nd spot in the feature race. And Zachary Drapkin and Nick Chacon, unfortunately, will be heading home tonight after a bit of a rough LCQ for both of those drivers. So we'll grab a look at where all 4 of our LCQ competitors finished. Of course, Pellegrini and Teal will work their way into the feature race out of the LCQ. Zachary Drapkin, Nick Chacon going to round out the 4 drivers that took the green flag in the LCQ. 12 drivers tried to qualify, and unfortunately Drapkin and Chacon will be the 2 that will go home. So now as we enter warm-up for tonight's feature race of RX2, Ian, Connor Berry already had his perfect streak snapped when it came to tonight's heat race. He was able to grab 2nd place in heat race number 1, which is still an amazing finish, still going to have the points lead. But do you think now him losing out on one of his perfect nights, he cannot go a completely perfect season now? Do you think that's going to affect him going into tonight? Do you think it'll still be the rock solid Connor Berry that we've kind of come to expect and that he's sort of known for now when it comes to this season? It doesn't need the fanfare. He is always solid and always quick.
Yeah, you're absolutely correct about Connor Berry. He's always quick, and I think he's got a short memory, Josh. I know he wanted to be perfect this season, but I don't think that's going to get to him too much, finishing 2nd in the heat race. He made the feature race, and if I'm wrong, I believe he's probably still going to be on the front row. So that's good enough for Connor really to be, and he could dictate the pace of the race from there, even if he's not going to be starting on the pole. So I don't see it being too much of an issue for him. The only thing that I could think maybe being an issue is he is going to be on the outside if he's going into turn 1, depending on where he is on the grid. And sometimes that's not the place to be. You can get forced up really wide into the wall, take some early damage, makes it really hard to come back for the rest of the race.
With that 3rd place starting spot, I believe he will still be on row number 1, I believe it is 3 wide on the front row here at Phoenix. But going into this feature race, I think what we can really expect is these drivers to go all out for this race win, because now they know Connor Berry can be beat. We have seen it tonight. Will the other drivers in RX2 have a bit of a new fire coming into this feature race? And will it be all said and done for Connor Berry? And will he lose his first feature race of the season? We have 9 other drivers who are looking to snatch it away from Connor Berry. And let's see where they all will line up here in the feature. Damian Jensen and Alexander Abedi, your 2 heat race winners, start first and second with Connor Berry, Greg Johnson, third and fourth. Zach Knowles, Scott Kerr gonna round out the top 6 on the grid, with Sean Winkler starting in P7, Nathan Ramsey starting P8. Back from there, it is going to be Keo Pellegrini and Trevor Teal qualifying in off of the LCQs to finish out the starting grid for tonight's feature race. This one is going to be interesting. And as all 10 drivers take to the grid, we get ready to go racing. Damian Jensen in control of the field. Alexander Abedi to his inside. Let's go racing. It's the RX2 feature race. And already Damian Jensen going to try and cover off that spot. But getting a great start is Alexander Abedi. How about Zach Knowles away on the outside? They door bang. That's Alexander Abedi trying to get the lead. Damian Jensen with a beautiful run through the opening corner to walk away with the race lead in his Ford Fiesta. Into the Joker. Jensen, Abedi, Zach Knowles stays on the racetrack. It looks like Keo Pellegrini also going to dive into the Joker as Connor Berry tries to spar with Zach Knowles through the dirt for the first time.
Yeah, it looks like Nathan Ramsey up there took the Joker lap as well. Good to see Nathan Ramsey in a feature race here as we see the battle between Zach Knowles and Connor Berry. That's going to be the battle to watch, I think, Josh. It's going to be able to do, one of these guys needs to get away from the other one and chase down these leaders as fast as they can, or need the Joker now, because they're only losing time to that lead pack that Jokered lap 1.
Knowles and Berry still need the Joker. Nathan Ramsey, last time by, did come into the Joker as well. And look at Connor Berry, a very last-minute Joker there. He almost missed the Joker lane entrance.
Yeah.
But he will Joker now. And is it going to be enough to walk away with the lead? He goes through this final Joker lap section. Is it going to be enough? He hits the wall coming off of the Joker. That's a huge mistake from Connor Berry. That's going to set him back a couple of tenths, as now Keo Pellegrini remains in third place. And Connor Berry off the Joker is in fourth. He's gonna hit the wall again coming onto the straightaway. What is happening with Connor Berry, as he'll now sit in P4 with a lot of work to do with 8 to go?
Yeah, his steering is definitely damaged from the first hit he took there coming out of the Joker, and I think that's why we saw the second hit coming onto the oval section. It's a really hard transition there. You say it's a rare mistake from Connor Berry, and that's true, but it's a very easy mistake to make coming out of that Joker lane. You really want to gas the car up to rotate the rear end around, and I think he just hit, timed it a little bit too early and just drove it into the wall a little bit there, Josh.
Zach Knowles with just about a perfect Joker to go into third place. An amazing Joker lap from the Canadian. He will now be in this lead battle. It's the top 3 now battling here at the virtual Phoenix Raceway, all trying to fight for this race win. This is the closest any of these 3 have been to a feature race win this season, as Connor Berry sits in fourth. He was able to get by Keo Pellegrini. We're going to have to add him into this lead fight soon, as loose on the inside is Alexander Abedi. He's going to one of the turtle curves, as now Zach Knowles is able to grab second place away. Abedi's still slow. Here comes Connor Berry to fight, and you could throw a blanket over these top 6 all within 3 seconds on the racetrack.
Yeah, this is very, very close to Rallycross racing. We're in for a treat here tonight, Josh, and it's amazing to see how close Connor Berry is to this lead group of cars. So much that he is the lead group of cars, like you just said. He's got significant damage. I mean, that there's no other way to put it, and he's making a fight. He's trying to get back up there as much as he can, and he still has time. There's still, I think we're gonna be 4 laps to go this time, I think, and he can get there.
Here is the battle for the race lead, as now here comes Zach Knowles to try and fight. An issue for Connor Berry. He has just fallen way down the order, almost to last place. He sits in 8th as Jensen and Knowles continue to spar. We'll see if we can grab a replay of that after this lead battle sizzles down. And it looks like Jensen, now with 5 to go, is going to sit in the race lead after a small mistake from Knowles. Abedi is going to catch back up to the tail end of this lead group. But Connor Berry now down to 8th as a mistake from Damian Jensen pushes him way up the racetrack. Zach Knowles to the race lead as Jensen tries to hold on to second place from Alexander Abedi.
Yeah, that's incredible. I thought for sure Zach Knowles was going to have a slowdown for going over that turtle going into the S's section, Josh, but he did it, and he took the race lead on a really gutsy move I think that we're going to see here. Oh, okay, we're going to see what happened to Connor Berry. Yeah.
That was a big mistake from him, and it looked like he just got down to the inside, trying to fight with a Betty there. Hits the turtle curb and just lost grip. That's all they wrote for Connor Berry, and he now falls into P8 on the timing.
Yeah, it's going to be really, really tough for Connor Berry to make that perfect season happen now, Josh. I think we're going to see a first-time winner here in RX2 for the season.
This time by 3 laps to go. Betty gonna fight back on Damian Jensen. He is able to grab second place. Jensen now gonna push that nose to the inside. Contact made with Betty. Going over the turtle curve goes Jensen. Betty gets a little bit of air as well. He'll be able to assume second place as Keo Pellegrini gonna catch up to the number 16 Ford Fiesta. Try and fight for third, but Zach Knowles out in front. It'll be 2 to go this time by. We saw him win in RX1 last season. He is a familiar face to the top of Racecraft TV Rallycross. He is not new to Rallycross in any way, and he is looking to walk away with his first feature race win of season 2, which is going to be very impressive, especially after in the first 4 rounds being so dominated by Connor Berry. I don't think we were expecting anybody to win any more feature races for the remainder of this season, but what we're seeing tonight is Connor Berry is still human. He still makes mistakes, and these drivers will pounce on him whenever that happens.
Yeah, and a lot of the drivers you see coming in the RX2, Zach Knowles being one of them. I don't want to say that Connor Berry came in and took it away from these guys. You know, it gave him some competition to work with, and I think they're all better for it. But a lot of these guys, Zach Knowles, Trevor Teal, a lot of these other drivers we see on our RX2 field, we're looking for this year to be a year where they maybe made a statement, won a few races, and really made a challenge for that championship. And knowing that Zach Knowles is one of those guys, it's got to be really refreshing as we see him come to the final section of turns here. If he can hang on and grab this win in RX2 to give himself some validation going into the rest of the season.
First feature race winner this season that is not named Connor Berry, and his name is Zach Knowles. He wins the RX2 feature race from Phoenix. And I know this one has got to feel good for the 099 and the team out of Canada. The celebration begins for Zach Knowles. What a way to do it, and what a place to win his first feature race of this season from the virtual Phoenix Raceway. Take a bow, Zach Knowles. What a race and what a win.
What a race indeed, because look at that, lowest position 7th, and I think he started 7th. Josh, correct me if I'm wrong, but he worked his way all the way up from 7th to that top spot. It's a combination of Joker strategy and good driving.
Let's take a look at those full race results for the feature race tonight. It's Zach Knowles who grabs the win. Alexander Abedi in second to the tune of 3.5 seconds. Keo Pellegrini in third with Sean Winkler and Damian Jensen rounding out your top 5. Connor Berry in sixth with Trevor Teal in seventh. Nathan Ramsey 8th. Scott Kerr in ninth. And Greg Johnson gonna round out your top 10 on the running order tonight. Well, let's not waste any time. Let's get to talking with your RX2 feature race winner. It's Zach Knowles. And Zach, welcome back to the Racecraft TV Rallycross booth. I know this one has got to feel good for you. We've seen you in victory lane before in Racecraft TV Rallycross, but first one of the season. Talk us through the emotions right now.
I honestly can't believe I won this race. I got the pins and needles. I'm very happy with that. I did not think I was going to win this race, not in the slightest.
Well, now that you've gotten the win, and like you mentioned, unexpected, but you had the speed to back it up in the 099. Was there any point in this race that you kind of knew that you had one of the cars to beat, and that if you just got that clean air, you got that race, that track position, that you would be able to capitalize on it?
I saw like a bunch of people Joker right in front of me. I think like 3 or 4 drivers, and I knew that I was pretty close to the top 3, and I Jokered right after, and I came out right behind them, right on the rear bumper, and at that point I knew I had a good chance to win this one.
going into the last 2 rounds of the campaign. We go to Brands Hatch in 2 weeks time. Where's your confidence level at there? Can you best Connor Berry again and go to 2 in a row?
Honestly, I've never ever done a race at Brands Hatch, so we'll get some practice in. I'm hoping I can make that one, but we're looking good.
Great to hear from you again, Zach. Thank you so much for joining us here in the Racecraft TV commentary booth. And once again, congratulations on your first feature race win of this season.
Thank you. I'd just like to give a shout out to Factory Sim Sport, Legion Sim Sport, Sim Coach Pedals, Sid K Designs, my own little painting business. A bunch of cars in here running my paints, and looking forward to the next round.
Thanks again for joining us here in the booth. That is Zach Knowles, feature race winner for RX2 tonight. And as we kind of put a bookend to this night of RX2 racing, we'll talk to Trevor Teal here in a moment. It finishes 7th, but we still do have a little bit of time to kill before we go into RX1 action tonight, so we'll be able to grab a little bit of a word with Trevor Teal. But as we move on into the final 2 rounds, Connor Berry undoubtedly still going to hold the points lead. So the closest driver would be Carson McKenna, who was not in tonight, so he'll have to take this as a drop week and have another race go into the points factors. Connor Berry's going to use this as his drop week, so he's still going to have the majority of the points, and we'll see how all that shakes down before we go into the next round. But just as we currently stand, this is a great championship fight, I think, that we'll have at Brands Hatch in Charlotte, mainly because now we know Connor Berry can make mistakes. It can happen. When we thought he was perfect, he comes into tonight, still had one of the cars to beat qualifying on the pole, but once he got into the heat race, once he got back into the pack, the mistakes started to come through.
Brands Hatch is the great equalizer as well, Josh. I think that Connor Berry, with his experience in the trucks, has drove some of these tracks before. I know they do races here in Phoenix and a lot of our other rallycross tracks in North America, but you don't see a lot of the trucks go over across the pond to Europe and race tracks over there. So it's really going to be interesting to see Connor Berry at Brands Hatch. It's a different style of driving. It's a lot more technical, a lot tighter. There's not as much room for passing, and a lot of the jokers are going to be a longer time instead of a shorter time around the track. So I think that's going to be really interesting to see, because I think it's going to level the playing field for a lot of the drivers.
Well, we do still have a bit of time before RX1, but we now are able to grab a word with our second place finisher. It's Alexander Abetti, who is standing by with our Ian Fisher.
Alex, congratulations on your podium, your second place finish. I'll just start with a simple one. How does it feel to be standing there second place?
That sounds that's I don't know what to say. I'm really happy. I came here tonight to take maybe the victory. I expected from myself that I have the pace to be victorious tonight, but I'm still so happy with the second place. It feels wonderful. I've practiced like 2 weeks after the Atlanta race every day for 3-4 hours like a crazy man, and it paid off. I'm very happy.
You talk about that preparation, Alex. What was your Joker strategy going into these races? Did you have a Joker strategy, or do you just kind of play it by ear?
Actually, my spotter and coach Luis Nunez, who was by me all the time, he told me when to take the Joker, and I just listened to what he told me, and I just did it.
Really nice to have that voice in the ear. What are your thoughts for the rest of the season? Are you going to make a championship push, or is this just kind of see where you're at?
I think I came a little bit late to the party, and Connor Berry is like, he's far away, but this is like a very good experience for all of us drivers, and I'm trying to push. I'm trying to get good results, and then maybe next season I try to go for the championship if I can. But right now I'm very happy.
Well, his push was good enough tonight, Joshua, for second place, so it'll be really interesting to see what Alex can do the rest of the way going forward.
And to have Luis Nunez in his ear giving him a little bit of advice.
Yeah, I was going to say.
One of the rookie stars of the last season of iRacing Rallycross World Championship for Logitech G Altus Esports. If you have anybody in your ear, I think the only person I'd choose over Luis Nunez maybe would be Johan Harth or John Robertson when it comes to the last crop of iRacing Rallycross World Championship drivers. But as we now put a bookend on our RX RX2 action tonight. We'll take a short break and we'll be back with tonight's action for RX2. You are watching Racecraft TV Rallycross on Racecraft TV. We still have an entire event coming up with RX1. Some of the best in iRacing Rallycross go head-to-head, and it's coming up next.
Going to go to the start of this one because the revs are rising. Away they go for the feature race here.
This is iRacing, the world's premier online racing game. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat to experience today's newest form of competitive motorsport, virtual racing, all from your home PC. Race virtually in endorsed series from NASCAR, IndyCar, IMSA, the World of Outlaws, Aussie Supercars and more. Take on legendary circuits like Daytona, Silverstone and the Nürburgring. Join iRacing's global online racing community and get on track today at iRacing.com.
We saw fireworks in RX2, and it's time to see them again in RX1. We go from rookies in Rallycross to some of the best in the world, and we're glad all of you are along for the ride with us here tonight on Racecraft TV. Welcome back to Racecraft TV Rallycross and our live coverage of round number 5 of the campaign from Virtual Phoenix. Once again, I'm Joshua Lee, here with you in the booth. Alongside me is Ian Fisher. And once again, all track and car cameras tonight created by Istvan Balo at trackcams22.com. And as we get ready for more Rallycross action tonight here we get into RX1, which we can take a look at the schedule. Of course, same schedule as RX2. Knock Hill, Sonoma, Daytona, and Atlanta are gone. We have Brands Hatch and Charlotte that are coming up over the next 4 weeks. And now we are here in Phoenix, which statistically in the past on the World Championship, as well as the qualifying series for the World Championship, always seems just to provide that amazing setup for championships. I go back to the 2020 campaign when this was the race that Mitchell DeYoung lost the points lead in, that was able to give it to Johan Hart to ultimately win the championship. This is where we kind of saw the championship build up in the last season before the championship finale at Charlotte. I think we're going to see a bit of the same here tonight with RX1, especially with how close these point standings are.
You know, this is a really impressive lead up to the end of the season as well as we take a look at the standings. I'm going to look forward to that Brands Hatch race leading us up to Charlotte. And then Charlotte's just going to be a fun showcase for all these drivers for that championship race.
And we can take a look at those points, and you can see it is a lock hold at the top two with Josh Fox and Connor Parisi, 62 and 61 points respectively, a 1-point difference between those two. Jakob Rafoss sits in third, Josh Klog fourth. Christian Raffas Lindo and Josh Edmondson sit in a tie for fifth currently in the point standings, with Garrett Maines, Robbie Lavril, Bodie Cryer, and Daniel Eisch rounding out to the top 10 of the points standings. Everybody on the track right now for qualifying. About 2.5 minutes remain there. Can tell you Jakob Rafoss sits at the top of the board right now, only 8/1000ths of a second clear of Connor Parisi, who sits in second place. Let's go over this track again here and we saw a bit of the nuances of this track through RX2, a bit of a unique joker, which you can't really tell where you're going to come out of that joker until you're blending back onto the racing line. It's one of these jokers that really is hit or miss. You're either going to gain a lot of time on the driver in front, or you might end up losing time on a bit of the drivers around you.
Yeah, and it's a really tough merge point because you almost have 3 tracks at once merging there. You got the joker coming in, and then you have to merge into almost a single lane coming through that little squiggle section before the start finish line. And so it's you can play that joker lane wide, but if you do that, you lose time. So you want to stay as close to that wall as you can. But as you said earlier, you can't see anything until you're past that wall, and there might be another car flying from your right-hand side before you know it.
Continuing on with the preparation for tonight's RX1 event, we'll grab another look at that race analysis. Of course, exact same thing. 5-lap heats with the top 4 advancing, a 5-lap LCQ with the top 2 advancing, 10-lap main event, but 6x incident limit and an open setup. That incident limit means these drivers are going to have to be a little bit more safe when it comes to the driving around this course, and the open setup means that anything goes with how they set their cars up for performance tonight. Take a look at how points will be given out for tonight's event. Of course, 8 points to the winner of each heat race, and that 15 for the win in the feature, and that difference of 3 points between first and second. Ian, we've seen the battles that have developed for first and second this season.
Yeah, and it's very fitting that you get that bonus point for a first place win in the feature race, but it's very, very interesting to see how the points shake out overall because you have to carry it through the entire night. If you barely make it in for the heat race, you really can only earn so many points back in the feature race. So if you want to win the championship, that's why we see a split here between their top 2 drivers going down third place afterwards, is because they've been able to keep it consistent through those heat races and carry it on to the feature race.
Only about 18 seconds now remaining in qualifying, and we will get ready to go racing for tonight's event. 13 drivers are on the track for qualifying. And right now at the top of the board sits Connor Parisi. He's looking to start on the pole position for heat race number 1 tonight. And with 13 drivers, we're unfortunately going to be sending 3 of them home at the end of the LCQ tonight. Who will those 3 be? Only time will tell, as we are ready to take a look at the starting grid for tonight's first heat race. On the pole, it will be Connor Parisi in the number 11 with Josh Fox in that Hanson Williams Esports machine to his outside. Josh Edmondson, Daniel Eisch going to share row 2. Bodie Cryer and Ryan Murray going to share the 3rd row on the starting grid, with Alexander Poteet in his first Racecraft TV Rallycross debut. Going to be starting in P number 7 on the grid. So the starting grid out of the way, Connor Parisi for Jim Beaver Esports is looking to start on this pole position, which is going to be a huge advantage for him going into this first corner. But we saw in RX2 tonight that second lane was able to get some amazing starts, and we're gonna find out if that is going to be the same story here in RX1. Let's find out. The top 7 are ready to go racing. We are underway for heat race number 1. The great start from Josh Fox. He's going to have a nose to the outside of Connor Parisi as they dive into turn number 1. It's not going to be enough for Josh Fox to take the lead. Parisi's going to be able to hold on. Going a little bit wide goes Bodie Cryer. Same thing with a couple of the other drivers that he is fighting closer back in the pack. Daniel Eisch involved in that one as well. Connor Parisi stays on the track. Josh Fox is going to take to the Joker along with Bodie Cryer.
Now, I'm not so sure about the first lap Joker with it being as close as it was down through the field after turn 1, but you're kind of committed to your strategy at this point. Really, when you see the rest of these drivers coming out, I think they're too close, Josh. I don't think you gave yourself enough time with the shortcut there. Although really, I guess you're battling more for a spot in the final, not really for the final, so it might just be a strategy play to get out in front of some guys as early as you can.
We'll find out as the course of this race goes on through, because Alexander Poteet, who got turned around, looks like at turn number 1, was able to take his way into the Joker last time by, but he did not come out in front of your race leaders, that being Connor Parisi, who now comes into the Joker. He's going to be side by side with Josh Fox. Will it be enough? Yes, it will be. And to the lead goes the Jim Beaver Esports Subaru of Connor Parisi. Right back up to the front goes that number 11 machine. Now his next Jim Beaver Esports teammate back will be Josh Edmondson, who sits in 4th, has shown some great speed in the last couple of rounds and is crawling his way up through the point standings, now tied for 5th. He jokers this time. Where is he going to escape? Will it be enough to contend for this race lead? Edmondson through the Joker. He's going to come out behind the Hanson Williams Esports driver of Josh Fox, but that will keep him in the top 4 for tonight's feature.
Yeah, it's going to be a really good play there by Josh Edmondson to just... That's another thing that jokering early does for the other drivers, is it forces the other drivers in the field to take their joker laps as well to kind of catch up with your strategy. So that might be something we were seeing from those drivers taking their joker lap as early as they did, was it forces those guys to use those, and then everybody's on an equal playing field.
The Parisi out in front. Josh Fox now is in hot pursuit of trying to catch up to battle for that race lead. Gets a little bit too much on those turtle curbs. Doesn't look like he was given a slowdown, but definitely got a little bit loose as he is slammed back down onto the asphalt. White flag out for heat race number 1. Just one more lap remaining, as Connor Parisi looking to walk away with the heat race number 1 win tonight. So far, it has been 4 different feature race winners in this season of RX1 action. Last week, Connor Parisi was able to grab his first feature race win of the season, and he's going to continue his winning ways as he comes out of the final couple of corners. Through the dirt section he goes, and Connor Parisi walks away with the heat race number 1 win tonight from Phoenix.
Yeah, it's going to be really good for Connor Parisi to get that extra point as he's trying to chase down Josh Clog. Josh Fox, I think right now. Well, yeah, they're a point apart right now, so the extra point is huge for Connor Parisi here in that Heat 1 finish.
Parisi grabs the first win of the night for RX1. Josh Fox, who comes home in 2nd. Josh Edmondson, Daniel Eisch, Bodie Cryer, the top 5. And we're going to cut off at Daniel Eisch for the drivers making it into the feature. Cryer, Murray, and Poteet will be heading into the LCQ. Heat race number 2 now on deck. Jakob Rafos will start on the pole. Josh Klog in second with David Schofield, Ryan Mowry with Marcus Palacio, and Cohen Addard. That will round out the 6 drivers ready to go racing for the second heat race of the night. And this one's going to be an exciting one here as Jakob Rafos sits on the pole. Remember, Rafos was your winner of the 3rd feature race of the season from the virtual Daytona International Speedway. Let's see what he can do as we go green flag racing here in the second heat race from Phoenix. It will be the early lead for the Jim Beaver Esports number 13. We got Fiercely Forward Racing number 199 of Josh Klog gonna assume second place. Palacio gets third. Addard now all the way up to 4th from 6th as Ryan Murray tries to go around the outside. David Schofield is going to head into the Joker lane. Josh Klog stays on the track, but Jakob Rafos also comes into the Joker.
Yeah, Josh Klog in that Fiercely Forward machine has really got to make an effort here. He's the only driver in their top 5 of points that doesn't have a win, and if he's going to really contend for the championship, I think he does have to get a win under his belt in one of these feature races, Josh. Another thing to look for here is Cohen Addard is a new driver, but a very, very fast driver. I think he's been doing Rallycross here for about 9 years out of Australia, so someone to watch for and go with the rest of the season.
We're on board with Marcus Palacio, who stays on the racing track. Cohen Addard comes into the Joker lane, trying to get in front of a fellow rookie in this series, Ryan Mowry, making his first start here in RX1. But Addard's going to walk away with that 4th spot, so now he sits in the catbird seat for a spot into the feature race tonight. Josh Klog, who sits in second, took the Joker lane last time by. Now everybody has come into the Joker other than the current last place driver of Marcus Palacio, who sits in 6th. We'll see how that'll affect the fight for that final transfer spot. But Rafos, Klog, and Schofield, exactly how they began this race, now sit in the top 3 spots. Addard, Mowry, and Palacio rounding out the bottom 3.
Yeah, and I'm watching that delta time right now between Palacio and our 4th place car there, our last transfer spot. And really, you got to stay as close as you can to that transfer spot because it's only a 4-second shortcut. It is a shortcut, but it's not that close of a shortcut. So you really got to keep that time close. It'll be interesting to see if Palacio can keep it and steal that last transfer spot away.
2 to go. That last time by. This time by, it will be 1 lap to go from the virtual Phoenix Raceway. A very, very tight line through that dirt section, trying to get as much grip as possible, but that is like playing with fire there a little bit, Ian, as Jakob Rafos takes the white flag, just a little bit more to that inside, and he was going to be grabbing a slowdown and possibly taken out of this race win.
Yeah, it's very, very tough. You want to get at least 2 tires on that asphalt section because that gives you the most traction you possibly can coming back to the start-finish line. But like you said, that it's really easy to go over one of those turtles, take a slowdown penalty, and as fast as these guys are, that's enough to ruin your race completely.
Working his way through the dirt section for the final time, and he's going to work his way across the start-finish line and sliding his way through the dirt as a bit of a celebration for grabbing this heat race win. It will be Jakob Rafos who walks away with the win. Who's going to walk away with the final transfer spot? It's a drag race. Palacio's going to get it out of the Joker, and Marcus Palacio in the last corner is going to steal the final transfer spot away.
Yeah, that's got to be heartbreaking for Cohen, but that's a heck of a move by Marcos to get that last transfer spot here in, I believe, Heat 2. Oh.
So Jakob Rafos grabs the win of Heat 2. Josh Klog, David Schofield, Marcus Palacio, the drivers advancing into the feature race tonight. Cohen Addard and Ryan Mowry going to round out the final 2 spots on the grid for the LCQ. We'll grab a look at that starting grid now for the last chance qualifier as Bodie Cryer sits on the front row with Cohen Addard to his outside. Ryan Murray, Ryan Mowry, Alexander Poteet going to round out the field as we get ready to send them off and go racing of the LCQ. We are underway and under the green light. Bodie Cryer with a great start out to the front. Side-by-side contact between, look like Mowry and Marcus Palacio, and Alexander Poteet, as Ryan Mowry going to move into second place. So that's Ryan Murray moving into second place. Addard is going to go into the Joker lane. leaving a majority of the field out onto the Joker lane as well. Now the two pair of Ryans, Ryan Mowry, Ryan Murray, gonna stay on the main racing line, but Bodie Cryer with a great start in the early lead of the LCQ.
Yeah, Ryan Mowry, Ryan Murray tried to keep that together for this whole race, Josh, right? So as we see Bodie Cryer driving away here, and really it was surprising to see Bodie get relegated to this LCQ. Bodie Cryer is known for being a fast guy that's at the front of a lot of these feature races, but this season it's been kind of a struggle for him trying to find the speed in that Tim Watson machine as we see him over the jump here. And it's good to see him out front in this LCQ, but really you got to think that he's looking for more than that. He thinks he should be up there competing for these wins, and he shouldn't be fighting his way through in these LCQs.
Cohen Adder sits in second. He's in that final transfer spot. Needs to hold on to that second spot from the driver who currently sits a bit of a ways behind him, that being Alexander Poteet. About a 1.5 second gap as they work their way through turns number 1 for the third time in this LCQ. Be 2 to go. Next time by, they come across that finish line. Through the dirt section, they will go again. And in the lead still is Bodie Cryer. And you mentioned it, a bit of a surprise seeing Bodie Cryer here in the LCQ. He hasn't had the best season so far here in Racecraft TV Rallycross, but he's still been solid about everywhere that we've gone. Just doesn't have those wins in the win column to show it, and this is a bit of a statement LCQ, I think, for him, Ian, to show that he can get into the LCQ and he can now work his way back into the feature race after being relegated to this LCQ.
Yeah, and I think this is going to be his first win in any capacity, be that a feature or an LCQ for him for this Team Watson machine that he moved over to this season. So good to see their investment in him paying off as well.
White flag this time by for the last chance qualifier. That is Bodie Cryer who comes across the line. And the white flag is shown. Ryan Murray trying to hold on to this second spot, who now has assumed that spot. Cohen Adder moves into third. Wondering if there was a mistake from Adder or what exactly happened, but now out into second place goes Ryan Murray, and a big mistake for that Ford Fiesta. And Cohen Adder has caught up to Bodie Cryer after a mistake I believe Cryer has made. Now here comes Cohen Adder to the inside to look for the race win. Not gonna happen, but what almost was a disaster for Cohen Adder ends with him having a feature race spot, and I believe, yes, he will get to keep it, and Bodie Cryer grabs the win of the LCQ. What an intense finish there. It looked like Ryan Murray almost might have had the hand of Cohen Adder at the end there.
Yeah, that's tough for Ryan Murray. That's going to be a big heartbreaker, but credit to him for not coming through that section there and causing an incident that caught up more drivers. Got on the brakes really quickly and kept it clean.
It looked like a bit of a post-race penalty time-wise there for Ryan Murray as well. So Mowry, Murray, and Poteet will be not advancing into the feature. They will be eliminated and heading home, with Cryer and Adder taking up the final 2 spots of the feature race tonight. So with less than 90 seconds remaining in warm-up, you know, just go ahead, put your money where your mouth is. Do you think we're gonna get another repeat winner, the first one of the season in RX1 so far, or do you think we're gonna see a 5th unique winner in 5 rounds for this series? Because it can really go either way. I think one of the fastest drivers of this season, Josh Fox, he only has 1 win. One of the drivers who's had his number, Jakob Rafas, also only has 1 win. Connor Parisi trying to go back-to-back. There's a lot of ways this could go.
Yeah, and a back-to-back would really lead the charge going to the rest of the season for Connor Parise here. So he does have the momentum going into this race, Josh. It's a very good point, but really that's the fun thing about the parity that we have in RX1 is that we have those 4 individual winners, and we might even see a 5th individual winner tonight. There's some wild cards in the field here tonight, Josh. We've already seen some carnage going over the jump. We've already seen some carnage going into that tight turn 1 transition off of the banking into the road course section. So any of these places, these guys could run into trouble, and it could really mix up the field.
And of course, when we go green for this feature, only time's going to tell what is going to happen when we drop that green flag. Getting ready, the starting grid of RX1, Christian Rafis Lindo, Josh Fox, Jakob Rafas, and Connor Parisi are the 4 race winners in the last 4 rounds. Question is, will we get a 5th unique winner? Will one of those drivers who have already gone to victory lane this season be able to win again? We'll find out here in just a few moments. As the warm-up finishes, we move over into the feature and we take a look at the starting grid for the feature race tonight. On the front row, it will be your heat race number 1 winner, Connor Parisi, alongside heat race number 2 winner, Jakob Rafas, with Josh Fox and Josh Clogg 3rd and 4th on the grid, with Josh Edmondson and David Schofield rounding out the top 6. Back from there, it will be Daniel Eisch and Marcus Palacio, with Bodie Cryer and Cohen Addard qualifying in from the LCQ. The top 3 are all winners so far this season, but in RX2 we saw a winner come from 4th place and grab the win. Will it be the same? Will we see another unique winner, or will we see a repeat? We are underway for the feature race of RX1. They dive into turn number 1, already getting turned around. That looked to be Daniel Eisch in the back. He'll go all the way to the back of the field as the 2 Jim Beaver Esports teammates fight side by side. That's Parisi and Rafas that are sparring. Josh Clogg in an assumed 2nd places. Into the Joker goes Rafas. Connor Parisi is going to stay on the main racing line. Josh Fox, David Schofield also come in to the Joker lane. Parisi, Clogg, Edmondson, and more stay on the main line.
Yeah, a hectic first lap there and a hectic start, and I think Bodie Cryer is another driver that caught up in it, Josh. I'm not entirely sure, but if you made it through there in lap 1, you're in a good spot here, and really you can just play your strategy for the rest of the race, and that's what these drivers have to do. 3 drivers already took their Joker lanes. They got to drive away from the rest of the field and really keep these guys behind them in their mirrors with your Jakob Rafas.
That looked to be an issue with Daniel Eisch on the start, and Connor Parisi now comes into the Joker. Is he going to come out the race leader? Looks like he has a very good chance, side by side with his Jim Beaver Esports teammate as they exit the Joker lane. Side by side, it's a drag race onto the tarmac. Still side by side, the 2 teammates battle for real estate through turns 1 and 2. Parisi having to go the long way around, and he has to give way to Jakob Rafas, who assumes the race lead. Spectacular racing as they go into Sector 1 again.
Spectacular racing. I think Connor got a little bit tight there too, going back into the road section, and I think he had to give that spot to Jakob. A lot of these drivers making really good work of the jump today. We thought that was going to be an issue for these drivers, but these RX1 drivers really showing their talent about how easily they're navigating it, Josh.
Edmondson comes to the Joker lane as well. He's unfortunately going to fall to 5th behind David Schofield, but Jakob Rafas sits in a commanding race lead. Bit of a tap to that outside wall, just getting that car pointed for turn number 1. But Connor Parisi now in 2nd, and what I think is the most interesting out of these lead drivers now in is the fact that Josh Fox, who we're on board with now in the Hanson Williams Esports Subaru, sits in 3rd, but a bit removed from the race leader in front of him of Jakob Rafas. You can see how big that gap is starting to grow at over 1 second now to your race leader.
Yeah, if you're any of these drivers, you got to know you can't let Jakob Rafas get in the lead of a race, because this is what he does. He just starts driving away from everybody. I think he's only, young and has only been doing this for a few years, but I can't believe how he could just drive away from the rest of the field, the rest of this pros like he does.
Schofield and Edmondson not too far removed from this lead battle as well, it should be mentioned. They're sitting just right behind the battle between Parisi and Fox, but Jakob Rafas with a commanding lead now of over 2 seconds as they work their way through the dirt. This can be done by Jakob Rafas. It looks like a mistake from Edmondson has just moved him off of the racing line. Let's go back, see what happened to Josh Edmondson. It looked like what you were mentioning earlier, Ian, just flying a little bit too close to the sun, loses the grip on that inside, and around he goes.
Yeah, and I think there he caught the nose a little bit too on the pavement part, and that pulls the car in towards that spot if you're too close like we're seeing here.
So a quick incident for Josh Edmondson, not too bad, but he did lose a ton of spots, now down to P8 for that Jim Beaver Esports Subaru. 4 laps to go this time by, and it's 2.3 second lead for the race leader of Jakob Rafas. We can remember back to Daytona when he had a commanding race lead there and a commanding win for Jakob Rafas. This will be his second race win of the season in a feature race for RX1. It also will be the only driver in RX1 this season to win multiple races. We have had 4 rounds, 4 unique winners, and the streak could be broken here, and I think it's a great opportunity for it to be broken here as well, Ian, because you look back to the battle between Parisi and Fox for P2. Those are 2 race winners in RX1 as well. We're starting to see the favorites shine through.
Yeah, and it looks like a battle between these guys for second and third, and we're looking at our podium right here, but anything can happen in these final 3 laps. I think this is a bit of a revenge race for Jakob Rafas. He was in another league race on Monday that he led every lap of, and they have a 2 joker rule, so he forgot to take his second joker lap, and that is the only reason he didn't win the race. So you can see some of Jakob's possible frustration on the racetrack today.
And this is definitely the proper way to do a revenge race. He threw down the gauntlet, and it looks like it's going to pay off for him as he's out in front, still pulling away at the front of this field. Last time by a 36.411 for Rafas, 37.275 for Connor Parisi. He keeps getting faster and is faster than his Jim Beaver Esports teammate behind him. He's still fighting with Josh Fox for the second spot. Look at the diving move to the inside from the Hanson Williams Esports number 12, and it's going to pay off. It was a lot of rubbing, but he is able to grab that second spot away. Josh Fox moving up further in the podium, but Jakob Rafas takes the white flag and is looking to walk away with a second race win of this campaign. It'll be the first driver of this campaign to do it. He came into tonight close to the race leaders in terms of the points, sitting in third, but still with a bit of a ways to go, and he is going to come out of the dirt section and walk away with a second race win of the season. Take a bow, Jakob Rafas. He wins his second feature race of the year.
Yeah, just putting on a clinic and just shortening that gap, like you said, Josh. Really just a dominating performance all night long from Jakob Rafas, as we see some of his celebrations here as we look for the rest of the field here as they finish the race. But you know he's excited about that. This has just been a great year so far. 2022 has been really good to Jakob Rafas, and it just keeps going and going.
Now, what happened between Fox, Parisi, and Clog? There you can see Clog taking the joker. He comes out. Ooh, big contact as they went 3 wide off the dirt. Big contact between Clog, Fox, and Parisi, and that was able to move David Schofield up and into the second spot. Let's go on board here, Ian, as he thread the needle, parted the seas.
I didn't even see this on our view that we were watching originally, but yeah, I think David, just split the seas there and sneaks away with the podium. You got to think that he's going to be thrilled. Sometimes that happens, you know, in racing. The field wrecks out in front of you, and all of a sudden you're looking down and you're either the winner or you're on the podium. So you got to think that David's ecstatic.
That's all he needed to do is Jakob Rafas celebrates. He is your feature race winner tonight in RX1. David Schofield comes home in second. Connor Parisi in third. Josh Fox fourth, with Marcus Palacio rounding out your top 5. Josh Clog, Cohen Adder, Josh Edmondson, Bodie Cryer, and Daniel Eish is going to round out the 10 drivers that took the green flag in tonight's feature race. And what a feature race it was. The first driver this season to win multiple races. And it's Jakob Rafas who continues to celebrate. And we're going to view that celebration now. But just what a race win for Jakob Rafas. Continuing to show that he belongs at the top echelon of iRacing Rallycross drivers. I remember back to watching him try and qualify for the iRacing Rallycross World Championship and, struggling in his first couple of tries, but then last season it all working just perfectly for him, and he was able to qualify for the World Championship and became one of the top drivers in the championship. And what a fantastic season it was for him. And Ian, I know he has got to be ecstatic about this race win, and we're going to get to talk to him in a second, but first driver to win multiple races this season. I think that just goes to show how tough this lineup is.
How tough the lineup is, and I think it's also just a testament to how well Jakob is doing, because this is a tune-up for a lot of these guys, like you said, going into the World Championship. And right now, he's dominating 2022. If you're anybody that pays attention to Rallycross on iRacing, you do probably know the name Jakob Rafas, and it's going to be really exciting to see if he can carry this momentum into the qualifiers. I don't think he needs to make. I think if there is a championship for him to compete in, I think it's really going to be his to win. So it's going to be interesting to see what he does for the rest of 2022. It's interesting to see what these guys are going to do going into the World Championships, and really, he's going to be one of the guys to beat.
Let's talk now to our feature race winner of RS1. It's Jakob Rafas. And Jakob, welcome back to the Racecraft TV Rallycross booth. And I know you've got to be feeling good. The first driver this season to win multiple races, Daytona and now Phoenix. What does this mean to you against a lineup of drivers of this caliber, to be the only driver now this season to have a 2 in your win column?
Yeah, it's good. The field is pretty strong, so it's cool to race and win here in Phoenix, which is something special.
And moving forward in this championship as well, this is only going to push you a little bit closer to the top drivers, as Fox and Parisi still come home 3rd and 4th respectively. This race win, those extra points, it's gotta do wonders for you in the points. And how focused are you on that championship going into the last 2 rounds of the campaign at Brands Hatch in Charlotte?
I've not been focused a lot off the championship. I was just driving, but as it now gets more important last 2 rounds, I'll probably start to try get the championship.
Going into Brands Hatch, of course, became one of the tracks on the World Championship in the last season. Also then became one of the tracks in the qualifying series. Good performance from you in both of those. Do you feel confident heading into the round at Brands Hatch and that you can walk away with a 3rd race win of the campaign?
Yeah, I feel pretty confident at Brands Hatch. It's a great track, and it's also a pretty long track. So it's coming over to Europe also.
Thank you for joining us in the booth here, Jakob. Congratulations on your 2nd race win of the campaign. Go celebrate with you and the team.
Thanks.
Great to hear from our RX1 feature race winner tonight. And we move over to the surprise 2nd place finish after parting the seas on the last lap. Standing by with Ian Fisher is David Schofield.
David, congratulations on the 2nd place finish. My job is really easy today. What did you see coming to the final lap there, coming to the checkered flag?
Well, I think we were just talking in the waiting room, and sometimes it's better to be lucky than good. I mean, these guys are all really great drivers, so it's a matter of just keeping it close enough to luck into situations like that. Tonight it paid off.
Certainly paid off for you, a 2nd place finish, the surprising 2nd place finish. But let's go back to the start of the race. What was your Joker strategy? What did you look for off the start of your race? And what was your mindset, to put you in that position to get you into that 2nd place?
Well, Phoenix is a place where it can be really tricky in the opening lap with a lot of cars going through the dirt section. I often like to get out on the Joker first lap, try and get out ahead of that. You can really get a good run into it and seeing what other people are doing ahead of you. Puts me in a position I can stay ahead of the pack.
Clean air is really, really important, and it is important for you to put yourself in that position to avoid that wreck and come away with a well-deserved 2nd place still. I mean, it's very hard to avoid those wrecks. Is there anybody you want to shout out for to help you get it done?
Yeah. First of all, thank Last Lap Motorsports for all their support and teamwork and the team spirit that they put forward all the time. Thanks to Racecraft TV for putting on this wonderful event. Thanks also to my sponsor for being good sports and let me show some customer appreciation, SubaruPartsForYou.com. Any parts you need for your Subaru, go check them out.
I really appreciate it, David, and I think you hit the nail on the head there, Josh. Sometimes it's better, and especially in Rallycross, to have a little bit of luck along with your skill.
And definitely luck played not all of the story of David Schofield there. Still had some great performance in the feature, but definitely that 2nd place finish coming with a bit of luck as well. We now talk to 3rd place finisher Connor Parisi. And Connor, you were up front the entire night in the feature. Of course, a heat race win for you. I know not exactly what you were looking for to sit on the third ring in the podium, but still has to be a good performance for you, especially in this championship hunt.
Yeah, I certainly was hoping to be a couple spots higher, but we'll take finishing ahead of Josh. I think that finish might be a little controversial still looking at it myself, but it was a good race. Always fun to throw these rallycross cars around.
And moving into Brands Hatch and Charlotte at the tail end of this season, you're now fully in the running for this championship. This is going to cause the Jakob to close in a little bit on you guys at the top, but do you think heading into Brands Hatch and heading into Charlotte, you can kind of keep up your momentum against Josh Fox and against Rafos and walk away with the second ever Racecraft TV Rallycross RX1 championship?
I feel pretty good with Brands. That's one of my favorite tracks. Charlotte, I'm slow, so I'm going to need to build a big buffer next week. So hopefully we can get that done.
Well, we look forward to seeing how exactly you're going to do that at Brands Hatch, and we'll see what you got in 2 weeks' time. Connor, thank you for joining us once again here in the booth, and congratulations on your podium tonight.
Thanks, fellas. Have a good one.
Great to hear from our top 3 finishers for RX1 tonight. And Ian, as we close out RX1, we go to one of the newest tracks in Rallycross in 1 week's time, but already is a fan and driver favorite alike at Brands Hatch. This is going to be a fun one, a very tricky downhill turn number 1, a very tricky middle section, a very tricky joker lane to master. Seems like this track just throws all the curveballs at these drivers.
Yeah, all the curveballs as far as tight curves, and not only tight curves, but just no width on the racetrack. You can see it right now as we have this overhead view. That's that turn heading down to turn 1. You dive down in the turn 1 and dive down a dirt hill there, and there's about maybe 2 car lengths wide at most, and it's really irresponsible to go through there too wide even. It's going to end up probably some bent fenders, but hey, that's Rallycross, and we're excited to see that here next week.
And we hope that you'll join us on March the 30th at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time when we go racing for round number 6 of the campaign. Only 2 rounds remain after that, so we'll hope that you'll join us to see how the championship will be decided. That'll do it for all of our coverage tonight. For Trevor Teal for Racecraft TV Rallycross, for Josh Edmondson at Racecraft TV, and for my colleague Ian Fisher, my name is Joshua Lee. We thank you for tuning in to all of tonight's action of Racecraft TV Rallycross, and make sure that you tune in 2 weeks' time as the campaign continues. A big congratulations to Jakob Rafos, 2-time winner in Season 2. Will he make it 3 when we go to Europe in 1 week's time?